Hi Nancy, how are you doing?
I'm doing good.
I'm glad. How? I hope your trip over here wasn't too I hope it was uneventful.
Yeah, I mean, it was okay. It's the same stressors all the time.
Really?
Just getting somewhere, just having people to help you, and
Yeah.
having to rely on people. It's just not.
So did your dad bring you today?
Yeah.
He did.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, and I guess what I'm feeling mostly lately, and it's really frustrating me, is that I just feel like my mouth is shut all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not able to speak what I need to say. And it feels like I'm always like tiptoeing and making sure that I'm not um, going over some unsaid boundary about what I felt and what I feel about war and what I feel about, you know, patriotism. And I just have such a different feeling about it. And I just don't know how to say it. How do I speak it?
Is your family uh, 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 pro country family? You know, do they
Oh, yeah, very
hang the
much so.
red, white, and blue every chance they get?
Yes.
Celebrate 4th of July,
Yeah, we're
everything
very
like that.
highly military, highly patriotic, which I am too. I love our country and I love being here. I just don't know anymore. I just feel really frustrated
Okay.
that I just every time I'm around my parents or my family, it feels like I'm pretending,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel disingenuous. I don't know. I just feel like I'm not really being who I really am.
So is it kind of creating two different people? Do you think? I mean,
Yeah, I definitely think so. I mean, I think there's one part of me that is within me, and that is, and then there's the other part that it's really causing me to feel like I'm not being my true self.
okay, okay. And do you feel the two different people kind of colliding at times, especially in front of your family?
Oh yeah, like I'm disgusted with myself sometimes.
Yeah.
When I'm there and I'm like, I don't even want to. It's like just going through the motions, and I'm so tired of that. I just really want to feel comfortable in the situations that I'm in now, and I
Yeah.
just feel often that I'm not able to just be me.
Did you spend a lot of time with your parents prior to this?
Oh yeah,
You did.
my dad especially,
Okay.
all the time. Like I said, I mean, he raised me like the son he never had.
Yeah.
And that was okay because I enjoyed it and it was good. But at the same time, I think I feel a little bit like I'm not sure of all of the emotion that I have and if it fits his view of me,
Mm-hmm.
which is really hard to handle because part of me feels like that was the view of myself that I had of myself too.
Yeah.
But now experience has taught me something different.
Mm-hmm.
And I just can't seem to deny that experience.
Mm-hmm.
Or I don't know. I just really wish I could just be myself. Which I guess myself isn't always like. I guess I feel like myself when I keep saying that.
Yeah.
Is not what they want.
So when you're with your parents, like you said, you have two different people that you feel like you're being.
Mm-hmm.
There's the Nancy that's in front of her mom and dad, that's patriotic, that they're proud of, that's a war hero.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's, when you're by yourself, there's the conflicted Nancy that doesn't know how to feel, especially about the country and about the situation you've been in. But really, are you starting to remember kind of what happened that day? Because I know we had talked about previously that you didn't. It's kind of a gray area.
I think it's still kind of fuzzy for me.
Yeah.
I'm still not picking up very much, but I can tell you that I do feel like a sense of not being able to, I almost feel like a disgrace.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like instead of feeling like a war hero, like you just said, that really triggered something in my mind, is that I don't feel like a hero.
Yeah.
I feel like a failure. And as a matter of fact, I kind of feel like my family feels like I'm a failure. They don't say it. They never would say that to me.
Mm-hmm.
But in some sense, it's like now I'm a burden.
Have they expressed anything like that, or have their actions expressed that to you, that you're a burden, or do they get frustrated at times? Do they relay any of that
I
information?
definitely think that they get frustrated, but no, they haven't been outright in saying something like that or even behaving in such a way. I mean, they've been very supportive of me.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I mean, maybe it's just the weight of everything that I feel.
Yeah.
That I could be putting on them. I don't know. I mean, it just feels like I wish that there wasn't this physical problem.
Do they still try to ask you questions about what happened and such, or do they still tiptoe around everything that occurred?
They don't ask any questions really.
They don't.
And so it's sort of like this ugly secret. This thing. It's like an elephant in the room.
Yeah.
And nobody wants to talk about it, but everyone wants to pretend things are great.
Yeah.
And I get it. I mean, being hurt or being injured in any way, I know it's hard for people to handle the hurt person.
Yeah.
I get that. But at the same time, I think we have to be bigger than that.
It's so funny that you mentioned that, because I don't know if, and we had discussed this a little bit before about the processes of grieving. I mean, you're basically grieving the loss of something, because you lost a big part of yourself over there.
Yeah.
And as you move forward, you're going to find that you're basically trying to pick up the pieces from that. With that understood, which we've discussed that about, this is the way that you're picking up the pieces, and I want to assure you that it's very normal to feel the feelings that you feel, to feel this way. After working with veterans for many years, I definitely can relate, and a lot of them, share that type of story with me. So with that said, are you planning? Do you want to move forward, or are you planning to maybe tell them how you truly feel, or do you think that's just not the time or place for you to do that?
I'm just not sure. I mean, what I guess I'm a little fearful of is that it's just gonna blow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like one day I'm just gonna explode and it'll be out there, and then it may not be mendable, or it may cause a bigger wedge, and I don't want that to happen. But at the same time, I can't see myself living like this for long. Always feeling like I don't fit, or that I don't I can't speak what.
No, and I totally agree.
Real,
you can't go on like that. You can't. It's very unhealthy, and as you're saying, you just can't do it. But there are ways that you can work on these things. Maybe even letting it out a little bit at a time. As a suggestion. But anyways, you have to have a positive way to release these feelings, and it seems like you're thinking about how this is going to affect them if you do finally blow like this. So I commend you. That's a good start in anything positive, in a positive direction, for you and for them, so you don't keep those feelings down.
I can tell you that I did. I found a group of veterans.
Good. I'm glad.
That were able to. They're doing some things. They're lobbying a little bit to try and figure out, trying to help other veterans.
Yeah.
And I think that when I've been in that group, I have felt better.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I'm not alone, and I feel like that they're sort of like-minded,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and that I might be able to, you know, plug in some way.
Yeah.
In some of that work.
Well, that's good. I'm glad. I'm glad that you're moving forward in that direction. That's positive. You're on. That's a positive way to deal with those emotions, is to talk to like-minded people, or people that have been through the same situation.
Yeah.
When you go and meet with them, what kind of does it give you a sense of calm?
Yes, I think that actually it makes me feel like a sense of home. You know, like a little bit of like feeling that there's breathing space.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean, when I'm at a family function, I just feel like I'm in a box.
Yeah.
And it feels kind of like I'm trapped.
So you feel comfortable around that.
Mm-hmm. Oh. Mm-hmm. Very much.
Is it almost similar to the way you feel when you talk to your military family, like you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, to most of my military family, like a lot of them that know what happened, and they know how it feels to be where I am, and that is comforting. Some don't really have a good understanding. They're really quite even though they have experienced some of the things that I've experienced, they don't have the same outlook as I do. And granted, they've experienced like wartime.
Yeah.
Not necessarily injury.
Yeah.
So that would be the biggest difference I could say about the other military people in my life that I don't quite mesh with. I feel like they're very like arrogant and like they think I'm like a crybaby or something. Mm-hmm. But so I know that they don't have the same experience that I do.
Yeah. So basically, your second military family, how many of them actually deployed with you?
Actually 2.
2.
Mm-hmm.
Do you usually, the 2 that did deploy with you, do you usually get that type of feedback from them when you talk to them and tell them about, like when you want to talk about the experience, or is it similar to yours?
They're similar to mine. Mm-hmm. And then there's other military, friends that I have that are a little more removed.
Yeah.
Those 2 are more similar to what I've been through. Not necessarily in losing the use of their legs or anything, but certainly in trauma.
Yeah.
And so that at least, helps us to continue our bond together,
Yeah.
But the others are just a little more removed, but they were part of my company.
Yeah.
They're people that I did share a moment in my life with.
Yeah.
And they matter to me, but again, it's like my family as well,
Yeah. Sometimes people that have never been to war, including military members, there's actually surprises, military members, that they don't go to war,
Yeah.
They're going to have a different outlook than you and your friends that have been to war,
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the separation is, because nobody actually knows what it's like, will know what it's like unless they've actually been there.
Right.
And I know you understand that, because like you said, you're conflicted with your parents. Your dad has never been to war. Your mom has never been to war. They've never seen anything like that. They've never been through an IED explosion. So.
Well, my dad actually was.
Oh, he did. Oh, he was.
He
did. Oh, okay.
But
okay.
It's again one of those things that's just so.
Do you ever try to share your experience with him? I mean, I know
I did in the beginning.
You did? Okay. And what was his reaction to that?
He just really felt like he did not want to talk about it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's his own way of coping with it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it certainly is disappointing to me. I wish it was different. But it just feels like something went wrong.
Yeah.
And that he doesn't really want to go there.
So he's never really expressed to you what happened to him then?
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. I mean, he's talked about, like when we've been family functions, when everybody starts talking about their military stories.
Yeah.
He certainly has shared some of them, and some of them are quite intense.
Yeah.
but he doesn't seem to be as affected by it as I am.
Really?
But I don't know. I mean, honestly, I'm not in his head, so I don't know.
Yeah. What's the feeling like when he's telling these war stories and stuff? What's the feeling that you get from him while he's telling these stories to you at the family functions?
Like conquest.
Yeah.
Like that it was something important to him. That it was something big, you know, a sense of excitedness, like, and a sense of pride.
Yeah. Do you ever feel intimidated to maybe share your story when the other family members are talking about their, especially your dad?
Definitely. I personally don't know that anyone. I mean, this is just my feeling, but I don't know that it's really right or not. But I feel like a lot of times that their stories are not like my story.
Yeah.
And my story is sort of tragic and ends in a way that I don't even know.
Yeah.
And so maybe part of that piece of not really knowing what happened, how did it all happen? I mean, I know the report.
Yeah.
I've seen the reports, but all the other details, you know, the little details of waking up and having somebody just grabbing you and pulling you in, you know, getting on a helicopter, and I just have pieces.
Yeah.
And maybe that's kind of another frightening part for me. Is just
you can't remember the whole entire situation. Yeah, I would.
And then maybe to share that, that's like, what am I sharing? Nothing but
because there's bits and pieces
being scared,
that are missing. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So it's just as hard.
So
I'm tired of it.
So do you think, in a way, that the reason you don't share these stories, or the reason you feel like you don't want to share these stories, is because, number one, like you said, you're scared because you didn't really know what was going on at the time, so you can't really remember a lot of the details of it. Number two, you're kind of embarrassed about what happened, as far as, you know, it's not like your dad's story, which is pride and you know, being very heroic, but yours is more of a story that didn't have an outcome like that. Right. That's basically. Do you think that's why you feel?
I think it definitely could be. I mean, I hadn't really thought about that before, but I think certainly there could be some blocks that I'm not really even recognizing.
Yeah.
To our situation, so I definitely have to think about that a little bit more. And see how often, maybe what it feels like when I start to think about telling my story.
Yeah, and you know, you could, like we had talked about before, journal it. You know, after something like that happens, you just journal it, and basically what you're trying to do is just get the facts together of what you remember and what you don't remember. Yeah. You know, that could help you, you know, determine when they, you know, it's all about anticipation, basically. You want to anticipate how you feel at the time that you're at these family functions. And they are, you know, your other family members are telling these stories, but you're anticipating how you're going to feel, one, by listening to them, but two, how you're going to react to them. Yeah. Are you going to close down and not say anything, or are you going to share at that point in time, or remember something that's going to trigger something else? You know, that's the funny thing about PTSD. Just thought you might want to know that a little bit of information. With all that said, do you feel as if your dad, you were saying you felt like he's a little disappointed in you or don't want to know it. Do you think he might be relating to you more by doing that and just letting you tell your story? Or do you feel
I guess it could be possible, but I just really feel mostly like they don't want to talk about it.
How do you think that scenario would look? Or how they would react to you if you shared shared with them?
It might be emotional, and that kind of scares me a little bit because we're emotional, but only under control.
Yeah.
You know, the controlled emotions, not the kind that are, you know, deeper or just could come out unexpressed, you know, just expressed, and who knows what could happen.
Yeah.
So that's where I think that I think that maybe I just need to think about that a little bit.
Yeah, most definitely. Most definitely. You can think about that for the next couple sessions.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, like I said, maybe would you like to journal it and then
Yeah, I will try that.
write bits and
idea.
pieces of it
Mm-hmm.
and then see what you remember from that, and then we can talk about it next session.
Yeah, I think that would be great.
Okay, perfect. Our time is running close. I wish it ran further than this. You know, I definitely enjoy working with you.
Yeah.
But we will pick this up again next week at the same point.
Okay, that
All right.
sounds great.
Great. Thanks.
Thank you.
You're welcome.